What's up, everyone? I'm going to be talking about Superman's best comics that you should read, The Beginner's Guide. Now, he's been around for a long time, and I can recommend all kinds of stories from the 70s and 80s, but we're going to talk about the ones you should start with and how you could become a Superman fan right off the bat and get right into the comics. Now, first off, you should read the first Superman comic of all time. It's Action Comics #1. Now, he's evolved from that one comic, but that issue represents, you know, what he would become, and from the time period that he, the 1940s and that time zone. So reading that very first Action Comics #1 is a good starting off point. Then I would go to Superman Smashes the Klan. This is a very fun comic. It goes back to a time of segregation and prejudice, and it's about this baseball team that this Asian family comes to town, and the Klan wants to kick them out of town, and Superman shows up and he saves them. It's a real good story. Grant Morrison's New 52 run. Now, you don't have to read the whole entire New 52 Superman run, but the very beginning, the Action Comics run of Grant Morrison, he kind of reiterates the Superman coming and his footsteps into Metropolis, and he does it in a very creative way, and I liked his story. Next up, we got Red Sun. Now, this is one of my personal favorites. It's a story of what if Superman landed in Russia instead of America, and he gets brought up by Stalin, and you know it's very cool. He's like a communist Superman, and then the American hero turns out to be Lex Luthor, and the conclusion is just great. We have Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Now, this is written by Alan Moore, and Alan Moore is a student of Golden Age Superman, and this was written in the 80s. So I think a reason why it's on a lot of people's list is because he's sort of like a throwback retro Superman, and he kind of closes the book on that version before Crisis on Infinite Earths comes and they reboot him indefinitely. It's a good Golden Age swan song and a love letter to Superman. And Alan Moore is a great writer. Whatever you think about him, he's a weird guy. But I like his writing. His Swamp Thing stuff and his Watchmen stuff, and he wrote a good Superman story. The Rebirth era is an excellent place to start Superman because he has John Kent. He's moved out Metropolis and he's restarting with a family with Lois Lane, and he gets pulled back in because Doomsday comes back, and Lex Luthor is taking the mantle of a Superman, and they team up. It's a really good rebirth of the story, and I would read that whole entire run because it's good start to finish. It was easy to read. It's fun. After that, I would go 80s, and I would go John Byrne with Man of Steel. This era feels like the Chris Reed era. It feels like the Richard Donner movies before, in that 87, 89 era, um, when Reeve was still Superman. They tried to make it feel like the movies, and that if you want that, definitely read the John Byrne stuff. The Reign of the Superman, um, which happens after the death, but the Reign era where Superman's dead, and we had to find out if Steel, Eradicator, Cyborg Superman, or Superboy are gonna take the job, and it was a real fun. I remember week by week we're like, who's going to be the new Superman? And then of course, um, Superman comes back, and not to spoil anything, but everyone knew. Uh, so Number 2, we got the death of Superman. Now, don't just read that one issue where Superman dies, where Clark Kent dies. Read the road to Doomsday. And that final issue where he dies is really emotional. Like, when you take the road to Doomsday, it's better. And then we get the funeral for Grant and Reign to Superman. That whole span is a great one. It's one of the most iconic times. Everyone was reading Superman at that time, I remember. And then the number 1 is All-Star Superman. Now, this one, everyone cries because, Superman dies of cancer, because of the sun. And but the art's great by Frank Quitely, and it's just great. It's one of the best Superman stories you're gonna read. So definitely, if you just read one graphic novel, read All Star, because it's pretty iconic. All right, everybody, that's the Superman comics to get you into the swing of Superman and take off up and away. All right, everybody, take care. Let me know if I missed out your favorites. List them down below. Like and subscribe. All right, bye.